I was sitting here at my office the other day and just looked over this way, and my eyes caught something, and oddly, it brought me sadness. My eyes caught this, just a camera lens for a Canon camera, and it brought me sadness. Now, you might be wondering, why in the world would a Canon camera lens bring me sadness? Well, as I thought about that sadness, why it was bringing me sadness, there were some spiritual applications that came to my mind. And so I thought, you know what? What better thing to do than to hit the record button, talk about them. Hey, thanks so much for clicking the play button. I'm Pastor Joshua, and I'm thrilled to have you here. I was sitting here the other day, and when I looked over and I saw this little lens, my heart really was filled with sadness, and you're probably wondering why. Well, it wasn't as much the lens, and I mean, it kind of was the lens, but my mind immediately went to this. This is the camera that I bought several years ago now when I started this YouTube channel. Well, really right after I started the YouTube channel. I started this channel almost 4 years ago. I was using an iPhone, and it didn't take me long to realize that between the settings, the quality, just several things about the iPhone, I wasn't going to be able to get the results and the quality that I wanted for my channel. So my wife and I talked about it. I did a ton of research. I remember staying up late a lot of nights watching other YouTube videos and really pouring into figuring out what I wanted. And I settled on this camera for a great kind of entry-level camera. I ordered it. We drove to the store, picked it up. I was so excited to get this camera. And then I realized when I set it up and started using it, I still wasn't getting the results I wanted. The part of the reason was I had no idea how to use the camera. The other part of the reason is this lens that comes on it. Great lens, but it didn't accomplish exactly what I wanted it to accomplish. So eventually I got some new lenses, and it worked great. And this camera has worked really well. But with a lot of things, you begin to outgrow them. And lately I have been looking at my videos, and I've had some struggle and some frustration. There are things that this camera won't do that I need it to do. And we started talking about it and praying about it, and the Lord kind of opened the door, and I was able to upgrade this camera. And I was so excited, and I've been excited. The new camera that I got is better on so many levels. You guys have been enjoying the results of that right here. You're watching on it now in 4K instead of 1080p, and that really is a big deal. It's been so fun to be able to have many upgrades that I'm finding on this camera. So my heart has been filled with excitement, and I was ready to just take this camera and sell it. I want to sell it. I want to get some money back so that I can put it towards the channel and get more equipment and upgrade the channel. But the other day when I looked over there and I just saw this little lens, memories kind of flooded back. I remember talking about it and getting this little lens first. It was kind of the next upgrade from the lens that comes on the camera. And same thing, I ordered it, and then I had my wife pick it up. If I remember right, there was, I don't know if it was Father's Day or birthday or what it was, but she bought me this. And I was super excited to use it, and it did help. It improved a lot of the video quality. The point being is the memories of this lens and the memories of this camera and all of the struggles that I went through on my YouTube channel. This camera is really what kind of started that. I've learned how to use a camera with this camera. I've learned how to get a background that I want. For those of you who watch regularly, you know this isn't my regular studio, and I've got a much nicer studio that I can use. And it all came because of this camera, this setup, and all those memories came back. I have a couple other YouTube channels that I use. And my kids, just remembering my kids carrying this camera or shooting my kids with this camera. Oddly, the memories came back, and the thing that came to my mind was, I don't want to sell it. I want to just take this camera and I want to go set it on a shelf back here and use it as a decoration so that when I come in, I can remember where I've been. I can remember where I started. Then my mind went to Scripture. Paul has some advice for this in Philippians 3. Verses 13 and 14, he says, "Brothers, I do not consider that I have made it my own, But one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. When I read that verse, I think about exactly the thoughts that I'm having right now. And I have a couple of choices. I can take this and set it behind me and have it do absolutely no good for anybody, except to remind me where I've been. And there's some value in that. Or I can sell this and I can take the money and I can put it towards this channel and I can grow this channel. Also, somebody else can take this camera and they can start their own YouTube channel or their own photography or whatever they want to do with this camera. They can begin to start, and it is a new chapter. Really, what we got to think about is I am pressing on. This new camera, it's about pressing on. It's about moving forward with my goals. And Paul addresses that in our Christian life on a greater level. He says, I haven't attained what I want to attain, but this one thing I know that I do, I'm not going to worry about the past. And we often think about that in terms of our sin. I'm not going to let my sin tie me down. Not going to let my sin hold me back. And we think about that with Paul. He didn't let his sin hold him back. But there are a lot of good things that Paul accomplished in his life, a lot of victories, and he wasn't letting those things hold him back either. We can spend a lot of time thinking about what used to be, and sometimes even thinking about, well, look what God did through me, and we never move on to the next thing. The more important thing for me is that I sell this, use the money, and move on. Yes, I'm going to be a little sad, but those are memories. Those are things that happen that might make me sad that they're in the past. Nothing I can do will ever get them back. God is doing something. God is moving, and I want to obediently move with him. So really, I guess the lesson here is it is natural for us as God is doing good things, as God is doing exciting things, just as providing this exciting new camera for me has been thrilling. But there's still a part of me that's sad to let the past go. That's natural, and that's okay. But we need to remember that God has designed us to continually push forward. I did a video not too long ago about footprints being better than monuments. I'll link that down in the description if you want to see it. If I keep this, what am I keeping? I'm kind of keeping a monument that lets me look back. There are things in our life that we want to keep because they're kind of these monuments that we want to look back on, but God is more interested in footprints moving forward. And that's just a lesson that this camera taught me this week when I looked over there and I saw this lens that is sitting on my desk because I'm excited to sell it and move on. And immediately, out of nowhere, emotions rushed in. And I was reminded that just because a camera has some sentimental value doesn't mean we keep it. A house that we have to move out of, a ministry that we leave. I think back to my previous ministry. We were there 12 years. We invested in a lot of lives, and we had a lot of attachment there. So when we moved here, there was a lot of excitement and there was a lot of sadness. Whenever God moves us, if we are invested in anything, why is this important to me? Because I had so much invested in using this, many, many hours of shooting videos and editing, all because of this camera. So that's why it meant something to me. But now it's time to move on, to press forward. So I would encourage you, whatever it is that's in your life, maybe that's holding you back. You say, God has got something else for me. God is wanting me to move forward, but I'm letting this thing hold me back. Don't anymore. Don't do that. Forget the past and press forward. In fact, I'd like to have you do me a favor. I want you in the comment to tell me what is something that very recently that you had to let go so that you can move forward. It could even be a good thing, or maybe something you're struggling with and you know, hey, this was a good thing for a season, but now it's time to move on to a better thing, a thing that God has for me better so that I can press on. Leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'd also say, once again, I just thank you for watching this. I hope I encouraged you. I know this is kind of a strange thing to talk to you about a camera lens that made me feel a sense of sadness. But hopefully it encouraged you as you're moving on in your journey. So if this video encouraged you, please hit the like button. And if you're watching and you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. That would be a massive encouragement to me. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next video.